Welcome to the Smith Sisters Talk Show. I'm Gwen.
And I am Crystal Smith.
And the topic for our show today is Teach the Children Well, a code of life to live by. We are going to start with the Lord's Prayer, which is a traditional prayer that our family knew and every family knows and should be praying throughout their lives, actually. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thanks for joining the Smith Sisters again, to New Orleanians and our listening audience on the World Wide Web and on WVOG 600 AM radio station, and our international friends who have been following us on YouTube. We want to start by saying that our first conversation is that we're looking at the foundation of our life, with a very special topic: Teach the Children Well, a code of life to live by. As we navigate our challenges facing our community and our families today, we are asking the big questions. What are the unshakable values we are passing down? How do we equip our youth with a moral compass that points towards faith and resilience? Whether you are a parent, a grandparent, a guardian, or a concerned neighbor, this conversation is for you. We are diving into the blueprint for character that our city, state, country, and the world needs right now. So stay with us. It is time to testify, to teach, and to grow together. Crystal's going to start our first dialogue, and she's going to give us a conversation, and we're going to talk about our upbringing a little bit to give like a guidepost to our listening audience.
Okay, looking back at our own childhood here in New Orleans, what was the first unwritten rule that our parents gave us at home that taught us how to stay with positivity and love of God?
And which guides us today. Let me start by saying that our parents taught us to be secure in who we are, to stay resolute about our commitment to the family morals and who we are. Don't let anybody change who we are. I don't care what children you go to school with and they're deviating from the correct path in life. Do not deviate, and just stay strong and firm in your commitment and be confident of who you are, and always keep the faith in God. You can even pray in school, even when you're walking to school, when you're walking away from school, recess, mentally. No one knows what you're doing. Prayer is like a barrier of protection that our parents taught us to do constantly. So I would say those are the things that our parents taught us that still guides us today. Crystal?
I think we should think about each individual family. You have morals and what you want your child to bring to the community, to school, everywhere. Bullies are something that should be reported right away. There was a friend of ours who was saying that her daughter was being bullied at school. But she, as a parent, she went to the school, she informed them of what the problem was, and the thing with technology is it can be evil. They would say awful things on her text phone, and she would think about these things, because when you see something written, you think, okay, now these people, and at the time she didn't know which student disliked her, and they were texting ugly things on her cell phone. And so her mom took the information, because she's matured, she gave it to the principal, and both parents had to meet with the principal, and that's how it was solved. You can't say, I'm a student, and drop off who's important in your life. You know that things that your parents are not going to deal with, and so you bring it to your parents. There's sometimes things in a certain age group, I guess, adulthood, And the principal has to have counseling skill. He has to have a lot. But if you don't require him to use those skills, he will never do so.
So what Crystal is saying that about is that our friend, she taught her child what's going on in school. She asked her. So one of the guideposts for her was to tell her mother immediately she needed to be protected, which is a good thing. And that's why children should have different guideposts in life to find out who they are, even when they're away from home, and don't let people deviate, because this child was not a bully type personality, but she knew that her parents taught her to have certain perimeters around her to guide her when she's away from home, and this is one of her life skills. I know my father will protect me. This is what's happening at school, and it was eliminated and it was reported.
And when we say things like the cell phone, which we need, computers, we need the technology, but when there's evil or something negative and it goes against the law in the school, it is for the adults to stand up, and the principal definitely is not going to do it because he understands children have to be trained. And when you give them what the correct way is and see what they are supposed to do and what their parents say, both parents agreed that the bullying was wrong. But if you always have an open relationship, a dialogue with your parents, because parents are the ones that can guide you through safely, and that's why we have to have a relationship with our children. Even the ones in college, some of them transition from high school to college, and if you teach them while they're at home what you expect of them, and they don't drop it off because they're on campus, you're supposed to still be that person. If an accident happens and you're a college student, the first thing you're going to do is call home, okay? So we have to understand that your parents will always be there for you, but you've got to do your part and be open with them and tell them what's going on, and then decide, okay, now I can make a different decision. If you stay in that vein where they're bullying you at school, it shouldn't be. There are laws against it. So make sure that your children have an open relationship with you.
And that was one of our friend's unwritten rules for her daughter. Let's move on to the next question. How do we help the children find their code through faith in God when the world is constantly trying to give them a different set of rules?
One would say it goes back to the home, because it's always going to go back to the home. Schools have a certain amount of time with the students, and they're supposed to be instructing them on various materials that they need to get an education. You got to remember, yes, you're a social being, and so you socialize with the students, but you have to know who you are. So when somebody crosses your boundaries, you're going to say, well, no, I don't want to do this. And if they try to bully you into a situation, then it's time for you, bring it to the teacher, bring it to your parents. As soon as you get home, you tell your parents. So they'll be aware of it, and it won't just, because sometimes teachers like to fluff things off. It does not have to be fluffed off.
The question is the code through faith. So the code through faith with our friend was, she tells her daughter, you pray in the morning, you pray when you come home, and you pray for protection at school. So that was one of the codes through faith that she had in God that she taught to her daughter.
With social media and everything coming at the young peoples and the young adults, and it's coming very fast now, like they said, the different generations of the cell phone, well, that's how the information is being disseminated to the general public at a very rapid pace. Therefore, we have to stop and think and say, okay, we still are important. The computer and the cells are vital in our life. However, they are not our life. This is our life. So therefore, we have to have a code. Do you think the code of life has to change at this time, Gwen, or the old school basic still is the best way, or whereas we compromise on both sides, parents and the children, and they come to a medium role that they both can accept and go forward?
I'm glad you asked that question to me, Crystal. I think old school in relationship for people who are our age, that works. The principles of old school can be applied to the younger generation, right? But I think on some regards, some principles have to be like altered, because we are dealing with tools like AI, and we have to have parents to say, to kind of put like I think there's like a limit or something they can put on that computer to say you can't go to this website, or you can't go to that website, and kind of monitor who is on that website dialoguing with your kids. So we're saying that, yes, old school for us is good. Some of our principles we can pass down, but we're dealing with a new generation, and we're dealing with the social media, the computer, and what have you. So I'm saying to the younger adults, you have to have some type of resilience. 1, 2, you have to have guardrails, to defend and to curtail yourself from falling into the social media thing. Like a lot of kids, as my sister just said, they're on the phone and they're texting people bad things, and they're on the computer and saying bad things about the kids. But it is true. I think that old school principles are good to be passed down, but we have to just kind of tweak it a little bit for this generation, because we're dealing with the computer age, which is it's destroying some people. Some kids are committing suicide, unfortunately, because they're getting bullied on the computer. But the principle of your question, Crystal, was old school good for us? Yes, it was.
I said old school is prevalent at this point. It depends upon the parents. The parents have to. We met this female at Loyola, and she was saying that at her home they have rules and restrictions, but her parents always offset it with a nice gift during Christmas or during whatever holiday. And she was telling me that her daughter didn't want a basket, and this is like a middle school age kid. She wanted money to go to the show. So everything is
Easter time, right?
Right. So that means society is changed. We are dealing with the changes in society, but we have to remember it is up to us as the parent, the guardian of the children, to give them positive images of what they should be doing. Because if you're bullied to such an extent where you have to become a part of a group, that's not what being a part of a group is about. It's not family. It's not anything positive that you should have to be bullied into being a part of anything. You have the right to say what you will and will not do.
So let's further elaborate on the concept of this age and the past age of staying to the basics of old school. Old school principles, again, they were good. They are still good. But as my sister just said, during Easter time, our friend back in the day, we were good with Easter baskets, Easter hunts, and what have you. Now the paradigm has changed, where the children want to go to restaurants, they want money, they want different things around Easter time, which changed the whole dynamics.
Well, society is changing. Some people are losing jobs. That's what you need to provide a lifestyle, a good lifestyle for your family. So you need to start talking to them now. We're going to go through a lot of hard hits as life continues. The economy is about to go through various dives. So you can tell, you have to start informing them now. Stop and say, okay, as we're going through changes in the United States, we have to prepare them also. They can't have items that they used to have.
Correct.
Because we're going to need that money for necessities. And also, to protect them, you have to be in a situation where they have to reciprocate to you what they want to do. So you need to talk to your children. It's too late after they go to a detention home, or because they have a detention home for males and females now.
That is correct.
And usually during the time we were living in the past, there were very few detention homes for females. But you have to understand, if you get in a situation with some friends that are doing something that is negative, you are part of it. So therefore, it moves from you to the laws that exist on the books. So please think before you decide to be with a certain group. It's all right for you to be by yourself, unto yourself, because you are the one that if anything negative happens when you're around these people, you too, as the law says, you're a part of it.
You
yes.
are. So I just wanted to let you know that flipping it back to old school with our parents is that my mother and father wanted to know who we were playing with, who were our friends, invite them over. And in turn, my mother, she got their phone numbers, the parents' phone numbers, and she would talk to them. So about who they are, which is important.
But that's a good point. The parents have to know these kids are playing, they're talking to your child on the telephone. You need to have some type of meeting with their parents. Even if it's PTO meetings, you need to meet these people.
That is true.
To be in school with these other kids, and the parents are going to have to come to the meeting, PTO meetings.
Yes.
You need to meet those people and have your daughter there with you and say, okay, you need to show me who your friends are.
That is right. And also, let's flip it to college. Even when you're in college, you need to know who your college friends are in regards to your children, because they're away from home. You need to know. You need to ask your son and your daughter, okay, you're studying with so and so and so and so. What are these kids about? What are these youth about? What are they doing? What organizations? And what have you. And that's another thing I wanted to just kind of touch on. When I was in college, I was thinking about joining a sorority, right? I'm not going to say the name of the sorority, but I went to the Smoker, right? And I saw through their line of questioning for me to join that some of these questions were a little bit
out of
bounds, a little bit immoral. What do you want to do? And some questions. And I saw through mapping, through that conversation, that no, I don't think I want to join this group. I don't want to join the sorority, and I didn't need to do that. So you take in consideration, even when you go to college, what organizations you're joining. Is this a perfect fit for you? If not, walk away. Maybe it's not for you. You're going to school to get education, to sharpen your mental skills, your scholastic skills, to obtain a job. So stay focused even when you go to college and even when you leave home.
You, as an individual, you need to socialize, and it is your right to socialize. But you have to choose who you socialize with. If these people don't meet the personal needs that you have, you don't have to be with them. Like they say, let them do them, and I'll do me. Students, when you make the transition from high school to college, it's something you have never encountered before.
It's different.
Okay. We all have gone to college, but prior to, you have to remember some of the things in life that will protect you from making negative parts of life in the future. And that's what we're trying to prevent. But the parents have to be involved.
Right. And again, we're trying to reemphasize the topic of our show. If you're just tuning in, it's Teach the Children Well, a code of life to live by. Because it is important, because your children are not going to be with you all the time. College students, they're not going to be with their parents all the time. I live in New Orleans, and we have people from around the world who are attending college here. They're going to all these universities, but these universities, the children, the youth, the young adults are bringing their own morals and principles with them that may deviate from what you were taught. And if they deviate from what you were taught at home, I would say to the person who is listening, and this is to the teachers, the parents, the neighbors, and everybody who has an influence on young adults, tell them to stay focused on their focus in life and not to deviate because you met a friend, say she's good in math, but her morals doesn't meet your morals, right? Like in college, I had a friend, I'm not going to say her name, right? And we were good friends, and she was getting married. But she was telling me, oh, Gwen, I want you to come to my wedding. I said, oh, are you getting married at what church? I assumed, because I was Christian, right, and still am Christian. She says, Gwen, I'm atheist. I was like, what?
Blown away.
Yes. I could not participate in that type of wedding with her, and she was my friend. And we met in college, and she was a good person. She was, but she did not believe in my God, in a God that I believe in.
Okay, we have always been in the community working as advocates. How can we encourage relationships through the churches and neighbors and force them to understand that they have to have some type of code that their church represents, the neighborhood represents, and you have a right to tell your daughter or son or whomever or relative that you're taking care of, this is what is expected. Because I think Bill Cosby was saying, he had said on one of his shows that you don't understand. He told his children sitting at the table, he says, we earn this money. We've gone through a lot in order to achieve. It's time for you, your turn now. If you want to go to trade school, if you'd like to go and work in the workforce,
That's fine.
it's mandatory that you understand the do's and don'ts. On the job, you got do's and don'ts. Any job, I don't care what it is, they're going to tell you what the rules are. So you decide as an individual which rules you would like to respect, let someone respect you, understanding what your community is about by saying, I have a choice to make. When people talk to you, you don't have to just go along with in any situation. You must stop and say, okay, you got to be the devil advocate sometimes.
You do.
Why they ask me to join this group?
Right.
What's in it for them? Because see, they need you. If they didn't need you,
They wouldn't ask
they wouldn't
you.
interact with you.
So again, I want to reemphasize our topic for today. It's Teach the Children Well, a code of life to live by, which is very important for someone to speak to children about the code of life to live by. There are a lot of negative factors out here in the community. I don't want to say that it's music. Some music have some, negative overtures that we're not supposed to be participating with. But I know that young people are going to listen to their music. But that's good. But as long as it does not bridge them over to the gap, into the dark world, the dark forces. And you have to be strong in your faith in God to know, hey, this doesn't sound right. What did he just say? Or what did she just say? There are a lot of media in Hollywood that is now influencing your children and young adults beyond your belief. Kind of take the time out and listen to what your children and the young people and young adults are listening to on their cell phones, on their earpods, because all of that is important in teaching the children well a code of life to live by. Because if you let your child just go willy-nilly in every regard, you're going to have a willy-nilly child. But if you keep them focused with your morals and your faith, and let them go and visit grandma, grandpa, even their parents, nanans, and even at church members is a good foundation. And they have good church people. Let them go to their functions. My mom, when we had parties, those children and those young adults, they were grounded in faith. I couldn't just hang out with anybody, even in high school, even in college. They had a strong foundation. And they have parents who are still out here, who still exist, who still have strong morals and faith to groom their family. So teach the children well, a code of life to live by.
Okay, a code to live by. It's up to each individual family to determine what that code is. But once you have that code, you're supposed to disseminate that to your children or child, even in college. Because if something happens, eventually it's going to come back to haunt the parents.
It is.
So parents have to be instrumental in their children's lives up to high school. If they do go to college, they've got to understand what is expected, even in college. There's some people, if they're your friend and they're really your friend, they would respect if you don't want to bring them around your parents because for some reason they are
That's a red
exposed
flag.
to the dark world. I mean,
That's right.
There's so many drugs out here right now, and directly on the college campuses or around the college campuses.
And in
so they
high
can,
school as well.
Yes, in high schools. But if we do something to deter them in high school and college, and it's all right for you to be with yourself. It's all right that you don't have to be with your friends all the time if you're not sure of what is expected of you. When it gets to a point where you need to leave, you need to leave. It's always about you. Why should I do
true.
what you are all participating in, and I'm not down with it.
Right. So when I got to college, I just want to let people know when I got to college, a lot of my friends were saying, oh, be careful with Gwen. Her parents were very strict on her. Don't say this around her. Don't be around her with all this foolishness because we already know. So people do research you, believe it or not, before you hit college on what kind of background you come from. So with that being said, you as a parent who are teaching your children well, a code of life to live by, you should be checking out who your children are dealing with, who that young adult is dealing with, even when we grow up.
And we're in college. We go to college.
No, but in the workplace.
But
You have to be
instill in them from the family
principles,
and then
yes.
to go to college. Because some kids don't go to college in their community.
Right, but they go to work.
But they go to work, but they do go to college. So it has to start there. You have to determine what type of person you want to be.
In life.
And then don't look back at a class reunion and say, oh, I didn't like you, okay? But I went along with what you did because you were the person that was really popular at school.
That's true.
A lot of people have devastating responses after the class reunion. When you see who they are at that point, and you think and you look at them and see that somebody else bullied them and they're not as powerful as you thought they would be.
That's true. So also it goes into the workplace, even with your coworkers. If you see that person's personality traits are not akin to what you grew up with or what your parents' traditions taught you, you need to get away from these individuals. They have people on the workforce who have different lifestyles and different concepts of life. And if you don't want to be around that person, just kind of do what you have to do and stay away from that person.
Okay, right now we're in a dilemma of what's going to happen in America. The price of gas is going to go up. The food is becoming more expensive at this point. Life is. And if you don't want to be a part of that family, you have to think about, okay, if you want to go on your own without anyone assisting you, you have a right to do so.
Right. So I want to close with our closing remarks here. Well, listening audience, our time is coming to an end, but the work is just beginning. We hope tonight's conversation sparked something in your heart about how we are raising the next generation. Remember, a code of life isn't just about something we talk about on the road. It's something we talk every single day in our homes and work, at our school and churches. So let's make sure that we're teaching our children well, and not just words, but with our lives.
And please remember to listen to the Smith Sisters Show on WVOG 600 AM each Friday of the month. We come on at 6:30 p.m. until 7. And we also have...
We can be reached at 3009-301@gmail.com. And we're happy that you came to keep the faith, stay strong in your values, and we will be here until the next time on the Smith Sisters Show. God bless.
And thanks for listening.
Let's take this journey together. Thank you.